Hey guys, welcome back. Before we head too far into the new year, I just want to quickly run through some of the things that I have been trying out in the past month or two. Now, some of these I love, some of these I have mixed feelings about, so I'll try and share them in, well, as concise a way as possible. Hopefully this video is not going to be too long. One of the things that I have been loving a lot the past couple of months is my Virtue Recovery Shampoo. Now, Virtue is an interesting brand because this is a brand that they actually harvest real keratin from hair and they infuse their formulas with that. Now, keratin is what makes hair shiny and strong. If you've seen K-gloss treatments, those are actually keratin treatments or coatings that you put on your hair strands so that they're more soft, they're more flexible, they're more manageable and shinier looking for a few months. Obviously, these cleansing and conditioning products are not going to give you that kind of dramatic results, but I do find this really good for maintenance and also just keeping hair soft and a little bit more flexible and less prone to breakage as well. They do have a hair conditioner or treatment mask as well, and that is really good. I think if you have long hair, coarse hair, or split ends, flyaways, that sort of a deal. My hair is really limp and fine, and it's also pretty short, so I find I can get away with just using the shampoo. It is very conditioning, doesn't strip my hair, even the ends which are more bleached and heavily damaged. It just leaves enough moisture, but not too much weight, and I just stick with this one step. On to two skin products that I'm still in the midst of trying out, but I think I've used both of these long enough to just give some of my thoughts on them. The first is the Pixi C+ Vitamin Priming Oil. Now, this is a 3-layer oil serum treatment sort of a thing, which is supposed to help hydrate your skin, give it a glow, and also act as a priming base. Now, just looking at the ingredients, I don't really see a whole lot that is really going to extend the life of your makeup in terms of hanging onto it. Now, what this is really good for is just really adding a little bit more of a smoothing glow to the texture of your foundation or your skin. I would say this is quite a nice way to tweak the finish of existing foundations that maybe are a little bit dry certain times of the year, or maybe a little bit too matte for you on a day-to-day basis. You use this, spread it around your face. It's not really oily, it kind of sinks in, and there's a little bit of a film, but it's not a greasy layer. I think you have to touch this to know what I mean. If you have very oily skin, I don't think this will break you out, but it's definitely not going to help with the staying power of your makeup. It's just adding a little bit more slip and oil onto your skin, which you don't need. And if you have combination skin, some zones are a little bit shinier or more prone to oiliness throughout the day, you may want to skip this in those areas as well. I do have combi dry skin, but I did find that on occasion, very warm days, or when I was out and about and sweating quite a bit, this did negatively affect the lasting power of my makeup. Like, it would shift a little bit easier or start breaking down a little bit faster. Next thing to touch on, this is the Drunk Elephant Sweet Biome Fermented Sake Spray. In a nutshell, besides giving a boost of hydration throughout the day, a little bit of antioxidant protection, and some anti-inflammatories to soothe and keep your skin calm, this contains ingredients that are supposed to benefit the microbiome on the skin. So all the microorganisms that help to keep your skin healthy, they help to fight bad bacteria, including acne bacteria. So maintaining a healthy ecosystem on your skin surface is really important. So I always like products that try to help, or at least not disrupt, the microbiome on the skin. Now, this is an unfragranced product, and it contains quite a high percentage of ferment filtrate, which can be a little bit funky. If you've ever used SK2 facial treatment essence, you may be familiar with that slightly almost oceanic, very organic kind of a smell, slightly salty, maybe a little bit weird for some people. Otherwise, I really like what they put in this formula. Now, I do have one minor complaint though. If you're using this as a setting mist, or you are wearing makeup and you want to refresh yourself throughout the day, this has a tendency to occasionally do squirts, which may be an issue once in a while when there's an especially large droplet here or there and it leaves a little bit of a patch or a watermark. As for the price tag, well, this is Drunk Elephant. It's not a cheap brand, and to me, if you're willing to pay for a Tatcha Luminous Dewy Skin Mist, I would say this is probably not going to be too much of a problem for your wallet. Now, Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. I don't know what to say about this one. Now, I love Luminous Silk Foundation. I've been using it for years and years. I still have a bottle in my drawer. I will reach for it quite often because it has very nice coverage. It evens out the skin tone. It gives a beautiful, clean skin finish that's not too matte, not too dewy. So I really, really like the foundation formula, and I was expecting that I would love the concealer formula as well. Now, I don't know if my specific problem with this formula was just that the coverage was just not quite enough for me. I do need quite a bit of concealing around the eye area, some redness around the nose and all that, so I always prefer a higher coverage product that I can sheer out rather than a really thin product that I need to try and build 3-4 layers of before I get sufficient coverage. So if you need quite a bit of coverage and you are using a product that requires you to build 2 or 3 coats just to get the pigmentation level that you want, it's very much more likely to not set properly before you powder down, which then causes your makeup to look heavier, cakier, and then more prone to creasing throughout the day. Now, I cannot say that the formula is bad in and of itself because it has a very fine-grained, silky, ultra-fine texture that looks almost like nothing on the skin. So if you have very minor flaws, you just want a little bit of brightening, a little bit of evening out your skin tone in certain areas, you don't have severe discolorations that you want to hide, and you can get away with just sort of medium coverage as far as concealer goes, then you may actually really, really like this formula. It's just not enough for me. Final foundation product, this is also something that's new to my collection. This is the Fenty Beauty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Powder Foundation. According to Fenty, this is medium to full coverage for all skin types, light as air, flawless filter finish. I've worn this out for several days now, and the main thing I will tell you is this is not as flat matte as you may expect for a powder foundation. Now, obviously, if you go on with a dry sponge, you're going to get a heck of a lot of coverage and also a lot more pigmentation. I'm not sure if you can see on camera, but this side of my face is instantly a little bit deeper in color and tone, and also very much more matte than this side of my face now. If, on the other hand, you use a brush like this and you just press or roll the product on in a very light layer, you get more of a semi-matte finish that gets more and more glowy after about an hour or two. Very, very important note, the powder does go on and settle down almost 1 shade deeper than it appears in the compact. So don't just eyeball it and think, okay, that's right. You may end up with a face that's way deeper than the rest of your body. Now, if you like to apply your powder foundations with a sponge and you're going to be using this to layer on more product throughout the day, please take note that you may need to go 1 shade lighter than you think. I have the shade 190 and I was actually matched to 185 by the Fenty Beauty Advisor at Sephora, but I personally want to go just a little bit tanner because my body is a little bit more tan. I just want my face to match my body a little bit better, so that is my rationale for that. But if you use me as a shade match in terms of liquid foundations, you may want to pick up 185 instead of 190. Flower Beauty Blush Bombs. I love these things. Now, this is a creamy liquid blush that almost has a cross between a gel, a liquid, and a mousse kind of a feel or texture. It's very easy to work with. It blends out beautifully. It leaves a nice radiant finish on your cheeks, but it sets and it works great as a base if you want to apply a little bit of powder blush on top of it. I'm just really, really impressed by this line. It is affordable. The colors are gorgeous, not too sparkly, not too matte. The thing about Flower Beauty is they aren't really marketed much in the Asian region, and I actually had to search around and order it off Amazon. Now, I have Amazon Prime, so it's easy for me to get free shipping from the States over to Singapore. If you're in Singapore and you've not tried these and you're looking for a buildable liquid or cream type blush that also dries down and doesn't stay tacky or dewy on the surface, you may want to check this out. There are several shades online. I picked out Bubbly, which is a soft, mauvey, almost lavender-tinged pink, and then also Melon, which is a beautiful, soft coral. I seem to have been testing quite a lot of Pixi products recently, and this was an instant hit for me. It's not even new. I don't know why it took me so long to try this out. It was sitting in my collection for quite a while. This is their Natural Brow Duo in the shade Deep Brunette, and this is a double-ended pencil and brow gel sort of a product. So you have it on both ends. It's nifty, you can bring it traveling, but what I love most about this is the fact that this tone is cool enough that it doesn't look overly brown under dark brows. The moment you go a little bit too brown, a little bit too orange, or a little bit too red, it becomes instantly really, really fake looking. And this is just cool toned enough. It is perfect. The other thing that surprised me was the fact that this brow gel actually works. It actually lifts and holds your brows and then it sets in place. So if you like to do the whole brush your brow upward kind of a couture look, this is a formula that is affordable and really performs. Onto an eye palette that I've only been trying out post-Christmas rush, and this is the NARS ExtremeEffects eyeshadow palette. This gorgeous thing. Now, NARS is not the most consistent brand when it comes to eyeshadow palettes. There have been palettes in the past where, a couple of the matte shades are a little bit patchy or don't blend out well. There have been some shimmer shades that are just chunky or don't adhere nicely to the skin. Now, the ExtremeEffects palette feels very, very different from most of the other NARS palettes that I've tried so far. These are buttery almost to the point of feeling slippery against your fingers. They blend out extremely well. The mattes don't go patchy, and the shimmers are so silky. I'm not sure how visible it is, but if you look at some of the metallic shades on this palette, it almost appears as if you've hit hard pan on the surface of some of these, but you've not. It's just a really, really silky and buttery formula. Look at this beautiful fiery red shade. It goes on almost like a cream to powder, even though it's not cream. Even if you're a beginner or you're not too great at blending, I think this is a palette that's very, very easy to work with. It's safe, but there are a few more daring color options as well. Now, the only shade I would say you have to be slightly careful about in this palette may be this black shade here. This is called Uncensored Black. It looks matte, but it's not matte. It has a little bit of a chunky texture and a very low-grade pearl in it. It's very smooth, but this is the kind of texture that may not pick up very well on a brush. If I tried to use a softer or regular kind of a blending brush to pick it up and put it on, I would find black specks all over my face throughout the day. It's not that this has a ton of fallout necessarily. It's almost like the pigment doesn't really want to grab onto brush bristles. So you kind of need to press and rub it in with, either a sponge tip or your finger just to make it stick and, go on. Very quickly on to the last thing, fragrances, and there are a couple that I have been reaching for more than others. I'm trying not to spend too much on new fragrances this year, and I just want to keep shopping my stash for old favorites because I have a lot. So I'm always rediscovering scents when I dig through my closet, and one of the ones that I've been enjoying for the past 2 months, all through the December period and into January, is Chanel No. 5. This is the classic Eau de Toilette formulation. That's why the bottle looks like this. The Eau de Toilette is not a watered down version of the Eau de Parfum, and the Eau de Parfum is not a watered down version of the tiny little Extrait de Parfum. So that's something to bear in mind. Each concentration is constructed slightly differently, so have a sniff of each one because you may find that they are quite different from one another. Now, I own Chanel No. 5 in the Eau de Toilette formulation and also the Pure Parfum version, the tiny little glass bottle. The reason for that is because these two are the closest representations of what was created in the early 1900s. Now, the EDP version, the one that most people these days tend to buy, that comes in the big, beautiful square bottle, that was formulated in the 70s by another perfumer. It was not created by the original guy who did Chanel No. 5. It really smells quite different from these two. So if you are a purist or you really want to capture the feel of what Chanel No. 5 used to smell like, go for the Parfum version, or, if budget does not permit, then try to get hold of the Eau de Toilette. The one in the tiny little Parfum bottle, that is the one with the highest quality ingredients used in the formulation. It smells really feminine, really rich and beautiful. It's also almost delicate compared to all the other versions of Chanel No. 5. If you have a chance, go have a sniff. It's very luxurious and beautiful. It's also crazy expensive, so I save my bottle for special occasions. The EDT, on the other hand, is far less sweet. A little bit more fresh, a little bit more sparkly. There's a stronger hit of the aldehydes in the beginning, so it smells more champagne-y almost, but more casual at the same time. It doesn't have as much of the rich florals as the other two versions, but it's still strong, and it has a very vintagey, old school charm to it. Now, the second scent that I have been reaching for quite often is a little bit of a surprise to me because I was not expecting to like this. This is the Gucci Bloom Ambrosia di Fiori. This one surprised me because I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. It's a beautiful, sweet, white floral scent. It's a scent with shoulder pads and a cinked waist, flat skirts, big bust. This one has a ton of tuberose alongside orange blossom, jasmine, so it's very heady, it's very lush, it's quite sweet as florals go. It also contains iris, which is another one of my favorite floral notes. It lends a sort of airy, silvery aspect to the whole floral scent, so it cuts the headiness and the lushness a little bit. So these are two of the scents that I have been alternating between the most the past couple of months, and I've really enjoyed these. But we're heading into spring, and I just kind of feel like my nose wants something different now. So who knows what I'll be wearing next month. Anyway, these are the things I've been enjoying recently. Please share what you've been loving as well in the comments below. As always, I will see you in the next video.